All right, welcome back in to Believe in the Wolfpack and this much more positive start to the episode as opposed to the last one as the Wolfpack take down Miami 74 to 68 last night. Honestly, it feels like a better win than a 6-point win, maybe just because, snapping the 3-game skid at home makes it that much better, but I don't care. They could have won by 1, they could have won by half a point. I will take it. Beggars cannot be choosers. And honestly, I'm not going to say it's a perfect game. Is there still things to improve on? Yeah, but this was very nice to see because they started off so well. They got out to a decent lead, went into halftime leading, went into halftime up by 4. 33 to 29. I was looking at the second half score and I didn't think that many points were scored, but that's for later. But they went into halftime up 33 to 29. DJ Horn started off the game shooting very well. He even finished with a game high, I believe. Yeah, game high 24 points. He was 7 of 14 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and then 7 for 8 from the free throw line. And this is what we need. There was a 3 that he probably should have had that they waved off and called it a long 2, which is like, come on, just give it to him. But it was nice to see him start off hot and the rest of the team just kind of follow suit. Marcel had a few buckets early on. Middlebrooks got in the first half and was just doing everything, fighting on the offensive glass, just diving for loose balls. Even then, this goes back to what I said about a week or two ago about having those 3 big men, Burns, Middlebrooks, and Diarra. Last night, not the best game for DJ Burns. Only played 13 minutes, played less than Middlebrooks and Diarra. Diarra played 14 minutes, Middlebrooks played 15. Burns didn't get a single rebound. Now, yes, he had, a few nice passes, had 3 assists in the game, had a beautiful one to, I think, Dennis Parker, where he just kind of caught it and just whipped it right to him. It was like a bullet, little backhanded pass. It was perfect. That was in the first half, but not the strongest night for him overall. 3 personal fouls and only 4 points. But again, that's okay because you have Middlebrooks right behind you and Diarra. Middlebrooks picked it up, 4 rebounds, like I said, and then 5 points. Diarra, 5 boards and 2 points. Like, that's perfectly fine. These guys are rebounding. They're just providing that production off the bench that you need from the center position that maybe some teams really don't have. But again, it was so nice to see them come out and look good in the first half and not fall behind early. And it wasn't even like an ugly game that they won. I mean, putting up 74 points, 74 to 68, that's a fairly average game. It's not like a 50 to 52 score or anything. And they shot 42% from 3 for the most part of the game. I think they were shooting closer to 50% or at 50%. At one point late in the second half, we were 9 for 18 from 3. And Miami, although Pack had 23 points, I think all 23 points came in the second half. They were just taking some awful shots. Oh my god, there were some threes that they were just chucking up and hoping. They're a great 3-point shooting team, don't get me wrong. 28 attempts, only made 7 of them. They shot 25% from 3 in that game. And Poplar, what was her name? Wooga Poplar, I think it was. Wooga Poplar. Yeah, I kept saying it to myself, and I didn't think it was right. I've never seen Wooga Poplar before as a name. But he was 3 for 16 from the field and 1 for 6 from 3. Now, he still did have 10 rebounds and 2 assists. He had some aspects of the game that, he was playing well, but my God, he played the most minutes on the team and he shot 3 for 16 and had 10 points. And he was ice cold in the first. Well, he was ice cold overall, but I don't know why. It just, to me, it felt like he just couldn't hit a thing in the first half. Like, anything that went up was just nothing. But then Pack, I mean, had 3 threes in the second half. At one point, I thought he was never going to miss again. 6 of 8 from the free throw line. Like I said, 50% from the field. He was the reason that this game was, close. And Omier, I mean, he had 18 points and 14 rebounds, yeah. But I don't know, just something like Pack having that second half made this game feel so much closer than what it I mean, it was close, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, it just like I said, since being on that 3-game losing streak and getting this win, it feels like more than just a 6-point win, so that's nice. But some other numbers, Casey Morcell had 17 points. He was 3 for 4 from beyond, so that is great to see. Maybe he can kind of keep that hot shooting going. Jaden Taylor, he was 4 for 10 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3 with 12 points. He had 7 rebounds as well, 1 assist, and 3 blocks and 2 steals. He was doing everything last night. Michael O'Connell had 6 points, 3 steals, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds. Led the team in assists. I saw somewhere that I think every bucket in the second half for the Wolfpack was assisted on. So, like, every point, there was an assist preceding it. So, that's nice to see. That's nice to see. They had 17 total assists in the game, only compared to the 13 for Miami. Even the steals numbers, we had 9 steals. Miami only had 5. I know they were down a guy, but still, I'm going to take this win. I'm going to feel good about this win, especially after feeling so bad and so negative about the team just a few days ago. Wow, we actually shot the same. I didn't see this at first. We shot the same from the free throw line. We 13 of 18, us in Miami. How about that? I don't see that often. But then we still shot 48% from the field and and Miami shot 36% from the field. But yeah, good game. Honestly, overall, it felt like a strong game. It felt like we weren't really forcing anything. Like sometimes it's just you're just chucking up shots, you're trying to, work the interior or something too much, and you can tell it's like, all right, this is their game plan, and they're not really going to go away from it. But I mean, against Miami, it felt like everything was just kind of natural and free flowing. Nothing felt forced. It didn't really feel like that, anything was. There was a few possessions here and there that were stagnant and bad possessions. Yeah, it's going to happen. But overall, it felt like a very clean game for NC State, which was, again, very nice to see. Their next game this Saturday against Georgia Tech, who don't let the record fool you. They're 3-7 in conference play and 10-11 overall. But that third win came last night. They beat North Carolina 74-73, pretty much right at the buzzer. I mean, RJ Davis had 28 points and North Carolina lost. That's not going to happen too often. Georgia Tech just a massive. They were at home, so that's a big factor as well. But that's a massive upset. That is a below 500 team beating the third team in the conference. That's the first conference loss for North Carolina as well. That is unbelievable. I actually don't believe that because I'm going to go through their schedule right now. Yeah, that is the first conference loss. My God. Their first loss since they played Kentucky back in, what is that, December? Maybe November? My God, that's unbelievable. Wow. So, can't really take these guys lightly. Just taking down North Carolina. Again, you got to come with your A game this Saturday. Could easily be on upset watch because is that game? Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Whoops. But I'm pretty sure it's home game for us. Yes, it is. So at least we're not going to Georgia Tech. That is a nice sigh of relief. But even then, North Carolina coming off that loss, they got to go play Duke, and that's a home game for them. But I don't know. Just both teams looking at Georgia Tech saying, "Hey, they just got a big win. Are they going to keep this momentum, or is that going to be?" Such a big win that they're going to lose focus. And then maybe we get a nice little 20-point win. I'm hoping for the latter, but I'm not going to expect it. And then for North Carolina, you're thinking, were they looking ahead to Duke? Because obviously it's the biggest game of the year for them. It's this Saturday. It's a home game. It's on ESPN. It's the biggest day for college basketball this year. Were they really unprepared to play Georgia Tech? And then Georgia Tech had a great night and beat them? Or is it just going to be, nope, they lost to a good Georgia Tech team that, the record is a little deceiving, And now they're going to go into Duke with, they got to prove a point even more. Like they can't lose back-to-back games. That's going to it's going to look awful, especially after going on a near 10-game winning streak, I think. I mean, Duke is putting up a winning streak of their own. They're on a 3-game winning streak after losing to Pitt a few weeks ago. But, I mean, lucky for North Carolina, they weren't the only top team to lose to a unranked team last night. Tennessee lost 63-59 to South Carolina at home. Tennessee was home and they lost that game. Connect had 31 points and 7 rebounds. South Carolina, they're a good team. They're 18-3, 6-2 in the SEC. Lost to Georgia, lost to Alabama. That's the 2 conference losses. But in about a week, when did they play Kentucky? Last Tuesday, I think it was. Yeah, so in a week, they beat Kentucky and Tennessee 6-5. They beat 6-5 in a week. One of them at Tennessee. The Kentucky game, they won 79-62. The Tennessee game, 63-59. Then in between, they beat Missouri 72-64. Right now, South Carolina is second in the SEC, one spot behind, or half a game behind Alabama. Alabama's 6-1 in conference play. Man, Alabama's just been cruising through the SEC. Who have they beaten so far? I can't think of any. Oh, they just lost to Tennessee. That's their only. Or they got smoked by Tennessee. My God. Then they beat Auburn. I do remember that. They just crushed LSU. And then their next ranked game isn't until Auburn on the 7th. So that's a week from today. So yeah, already some big upsets. I was kind of waiting for this weekend before we saw, some top teams go down, but I was also expecting to other top teams. Some other scores from last night. Kansas, they destroyed Oklahoma State. They avoided an upset. They beat them 83-54. Marquette pulls away from Nova. Villanova's been so bad this year. I mean, they're 11-10, 4-6 in the Big East. That's not great. 11-10 is not great at all for Villanova. But the fact that they even have a winning record is a bit surprising to me. They have just been so bad this year. I think we're actually gonna get to some bracketology later because they're on the outside looking in right now. Illinois beat Ohio State 87-75. TCU, they're ranked 25th. They beat number 15 Texas, which I don't think is a crazy upset. I mean, it's a conference matchup, 10 spots apart in the rankings. And TCU's a good team. TCU has been playing well as of late. But Isaacs for Texas Tech did have 25 points and 9 assists. But yeah, the Big 12 has been very good this year. Kind of the opposite of the ACC. The ACC has been, I don't know. Is the ACC bad or is the ACC just so competitive that it seems bad? Probably bad, but whatever. It's, there's good games. There's good games. It's, competition. Teams are fighting. It's a dogfight every single night. Oklahoma and Dayton trying to stay in the top 25. They both won last night. Dayton beat George Washington 83-61, and Oklahoma beat Kansas State 73-53. Let's see if there's any games tonight as I'm recording this Wednesday. Purdue playing Northwestern. Purdue is home. Alabama plays Georgia tonight. Kentucky plays Florida. Honestly, Kentucky has looked kind of rough at times. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida pulls an upset there. Providence plays UConn. Providence coming off a huge, I don't know. I already kind of talked about it with the Ed Cooley stuff, but I mean, he had Georgetown looking much better than what their record is. I don't know if Providence put so much into that game against Georgetown wanting to beat Cooley and Georgetown that maybe UConn just crushes them tonight. I mean, UConn is 13.5-point favorites. And I mean, maybe they should be more, but I could be wrong. Who knows? Alabama is favored by 6.5 going to Georgia. That's a bit surprising. And then Purdue's favored by 14.5 points, projected to beat Northwestern. If I had to give you one upset watch tonight, I think I'd go Florida. just because, not no, definitely not Vanderbilt and Auburn, but I don't know. Kentucky's been playing. They probably should have lost that game to Arkansas, and their one big freshman, he was at one point the top recruit in the country last year. I think at one point he dropped to third, but for the most part, he was one of the top three recruits in the country last year. Justin Edwards. He's been a little banged up, a little hurt, but even then, he really hasn't been playing too well. It feels like they gotta. It feels like he just needs more time. With Kentucky being so notorious for one and done players, which most likely DJ Wagner will be a one and done player, but I think Justin Edwards may need another year, maybe another year or two. I kind of hope he doesn't transfer out of there just because it's so often now where if a top recruit, if it's not working out at the initial school they committed to, they're going to transfer out the following year. So I like to see him stay there just because I remember looking at mock drafts last year, and for the draft coming up this year, he was projected as a top 10 pick already. Like, obviously, that has fallen since then with his struggles, but hopefully he can pick it back up. But back to my main point, that's what it was. Florida, maybe they pull off the upset tonight. That's my pick tonight. Yeah, who knows? But we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, going to get into some bracketology brought to you by ESPN. Well, no ads, but I'm just going off of ESPN's bracketology. How accurate it truly is, listen, probably not, but I'm just going off what they're telling me. We'll be right back on Believe in the Wolfpack. Welcome back in. Believe in the Wolfpack. Gonna get into some bracketology, seeing where teams, if the season were to end today, where they would stand for the tournament. For the women's Wolfpack team, haven't forgotten about them. They, have their game this Saturday against North Carolina, so nothing really new with them, other than they're right as of right now projected as one of the 4-1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Meaning, if they got to the Final Four, if it were to end today, if they got to the Final Four, they would most likely match up against South Carolina, but they avoid having to play South Carolina or Iowa or Stanford. Those are the other four number one seeds. They do have UCLA in that division, though, so that would be tough. But plenty of time for that. It's just nice to see them back as a one seed when it comes to the bracketology and whatnot. But for the men's side, some big names that are the first four out, considered the first four out right now. I like how they even have the next four out. It's like, yeah, you're even you're even second to the other last place teams that didn't get it. Like, yeah, you didn't get in, but you were even further from getting in than these guys. But some of the teams that are the first four out, Villanova and Gonzaga. Villanova and Gonzaga were fighting for, if not one seats for the last few years. Gonzaga has always been like, they're undefeated, going into the Final Four, going into the Elite Eight, national championship. They can never get it done. I don't. That was always the thing with Gonzaga. I've always kind of believed they were never going to get it done. For whatever reason, I just, bad conference, and there's always gave me a reason to doubt them for, somehow. Except for that one Jalen Suggs, pretty much half-court buzzer beater against UCLA. That was awesome. That was cool. But seeing them at Villanova as some of the first, two of the teams that are the first four out, it's kind of crazy. Like, it's just, how quickly things can change in college basketball. And maybe not so quickly, because I'm thinking about that Villanova team, the second team, the 2018 team to win the national championship, when they had the entire New York Knicks roster on their team with Brunson, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart wasn't there. He was on the 2016 team, but they did have Mikal Bridges, who's on the Nets, not the Knicks. Different New York team, even though he's probably going to get traded because the Nets are terrible. But that team was incredible. That team was so good. What'd they win? Every tournament game by at least 10 points? I mean, they walked their way. Did they play Oklahoma in the Final Four? When they had Buddy Hield. Am I remembering that correctly? I just remember them just destroying teams on their way to winning their second national championship in a few years, which is, and now they're struggling, barely over 500, losing to teams in their area that aren't even close to, their kind of status in college basketball, I guess you could say. But then looking at the rest of the bracket right now, only 3 ACC teams are projected to be in it: Duke, North Carolina, and Clemson. Kind of goes back to my point about, is the ACC bad, or are we all just playing each other really tough and competitively? Nah, no, probably just bad. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I think North Carolina as of right now is a 1 seed. I imagine they will, drop because it just lost to Georgia Tech. Duke. What was Duke? Were they 3? Were they a 3 seed? No, they were 4th. They were a 4 seed, and then Clemson was 6. Um if I, gun to my head, pick a winner right now, no idea, but a few teams that I like. Staying away. I'm staying away from Purdue. I'm staying away from Purdue. I don't think anybody can have any trust in Purdue. In the first round, as of right now, they would either play NC Central or Southern. I may pick one of them to beat them. And if they win, even if Purdue wins, they would go on to play Memphis or St. John's. If Memphis beats St. John's and goes to play Purdue, I may, there may be a real pick. Memphis beating Purdue. I think I may have to make a note right now, just telling myself, don't pick Purdue to make the Sweet 16. Maybe after 2 years of upsets, maybe, I give them the Sweet 16 and then I, you know, make them lose there. But nah. Losing to a 1 seed, always being the number 1 seed, regular season, they're crushing it. I don't think they've been outside the top 5 this year. I'm not picking them to win more than they might get 1 win. They'll get 1 win out of me whenever I make a bracket. I'll probably have an entire show dedicated to that, just walking through who I'm picking and whatnot and why. I mean, for the last few years, honestly, I've tried to make a reasonable bracket. Like, oh, this team's played well this year. They got this guy. They got this shooter. They haven't been playing well as of late. They're coming in hot. There's no. I might as well go off mascots. I might as well just blind pick teams. I'd probably have a better chance, especially last year. I should have, bad bracket. Any bracket pool that I'm in, some I'm kind of middle of the pack, but for the most part, I feel like I am just dead last, which is not great. Not a great feeling. There's a reason there's never been a perfect one. But back to my point, a few teams that I like, if I did have to pick a winner right now, Kansas, just because, experienced. They're a 3 seed right now. I kind of like that spot for them where they're not, one of the top seeds. At least I think they were a 3 seed. Now I can't find them. But they're not one of the top 1 or 2 seeds. So they don't really have like these crazy expectations to where, if they lose in the Sweet 16, it's kind of a disappointment. I mean, being Kansas, anything but a national championship is kind of a disappointment for them. But I think them as a 3 seed, it's kind of a nice path. It doesn't really, build them up too much. They can somewhat play the underdog role, and they're just a good team. Hunter Dickinson is great. Also like Illinois. Illinois has been playing really well in the Big Ten, and same with Tennessee. Tennessee, a very experienced team, even though they did just lose to South Carolina. So bad timing there. If they can avoid South Carolina, they may be okay. And then same with Wisconsin. Wisconsin has just been playing very well as of late. So that Wisconsin pick is a little recency bias, but whatever. They're still a 2 seed right now. Tennessee, to open it up, I just want to see if they would avoid. Okay, yeah, South Carolina. I don't even know if South Carolina is in this, but Tennessee right now is a 2 seed according to Bracketology from ESPN. They're on the same side, or in the same bracket. What are they in the South? Yeah, they're in the South. Houston is the 1 seed. Illinois is the 4, and then Creighton is the 3 seed. Oklahoma is 6. That's actually pretty good. Tennessee, if they were to win, they would play Providence or Colorado State. That'd actually be a really good game in the second round. Tennessee or Colorado State. Kind of want that to happen. But what are you going to do? No, those are some of the teams that I like. Completely staying away. I would completely stay away from Kentucky. I would completely stay away from Purdue, like I said. UConn. Actually not stay away from UConn, but it is impossible to repeat nowadays in college basketball. If they repeat, that would be incredible, unbelievable. TCU would be a good pick, I think. Other teams I'd stay away from. I'm not sure. The main one is definitely Purdue and also Kentucky. Marquette, they're a 2 seed right now. I'm not wildly impressed with them. Maybe that's also recency bias because they barely beat Nova, who is not good this year. Other than that, I like Houston, Dayton, yeah, not bad. Arizona, nah. Iowa State, pencil them in as another team that I would be perfectly fine with saying they could win the national championship. They may be, if I make a million brackets and just, I always have one set one, and then I'll make like other ones just because I want to and it's fun. Iowa State will definitely get one where they win it all. Florida Atlantic, just because it would be cool. Maybe I'll pick them, but nah. I do like Iowa State. I'll put Iowa State in that same group that I had Kansas, Tennessee, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So already looking forward to March Madness and the tournament. I mean, how couldn't you? The conference tournaments into those first. Oh my god, just the all day games. It's the best. It is awesome. Can't wait for it. But still got a lot of basketball left to play. NC State plays Georgia Tech this Saturday, and the women's Wolfpack team plays North Carolina soon as well. Is that this Saturday? I feel like I said this Saturday, but now I'm not believing that. Let me check that again. I might just be thinking of the Georgia Tech game for the men's team. I thought it was. Is it the first? The first sounds right. Yeah, so it is. Okay, so tomorrow night, or I guess tonight, because you'll be listening to this on Thursday. So tonight, NC State against North Carolina. It's on the ACC network. It should be on ESPN. Just flex it, whatever. I'll be fine with it. But thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Believe in the Wolfpack.